A queen is not made when she is crowned. She is crowned because she has always been a queen. And yet, the crown is nothing without the head that does not need it. The wind does not announce itself, yet it moves the forests. The ocean does not beg for worship, yet it shapes the continents. So too, your majesty does not arrive when the world applauds you. It was there, in the quiet before your first breath. We are born into a kingdom we cannot see. Not a kingdom of gold and banners, not a palace with crystal windows and guards at the gates, but a realm woven from something far more mysterious, the quiet pulse of awareness itself. This kingdom has no borders, no rivers to cross, no mountain walls to keep intruders out, and yet, it is the most private realm you will ever know. It belongs entirely to you. And in those first moments of life, before the world has told you who you are, you sit upon its throne without even knowing there is a throne at all. As a child, you move through this invisible kingdom with a grace you cannot name. You laugh without wondering if your laugh is beautiful. You cry without apology. You dance without asking whether the rhythm is right. You are sovereign without title, ruler without a crown. But the strange thing is, no one tells you this. Instead, voices begin to echo in the halls of your mind. Voices of parents, teachers, strangers, the entire chorus of the world, and they speak to you as though you are a subject, not a ruler. They say, "Be good, and we will love you. Do well, and we will praise you. Obey, and you will be accepted." And slowly, you learn that the applause of others is the sound of gates opening. You begin to believe that your kingdom depends on their permission. Somewhere along the way, you are led away from your throne, led into the marketplace of the world, and handed a paper crown. It glitters under the sun, but it wilts in the rain. Still, you hold on to it because they tell you, this is what makes you a queen. This is the great forgetting. You forget that your authority is older than your name, that your worth is deeper than your achievements. You forget that before anyone clapped for you, you were already whole. But a true queen remembers. She remembers in the quiet hours, when the world has gone to sleep and the applause has faded. She remembers when she sits alone by a window, watching the moon, and feels an inexplicable sense of dignity just for existing. She remembers when no one is watching, and yet she still carries herself with a kind of grace that cannot be performed, because it is not for show. To be a queen is to know the shape of your own soul without needing anyone to describe it to you. It is to walk through the corridors of your mind without fear, to sit again upon the throne that was always there, carved not from wood or stone, but from the stillness that has been with you. Since your first breath, the tragedy of many lives is not that they are denied a crown, but that they are convinced they never had one to begin with. People live as if they must earn the right to be themselves, as if they are applying for a position in their own lives, waiting for someone else to hire them. And in this way, they become exiles in their own kingdom. But when you remember, when you step back into the seat that has always been yours, something remarkable happens. You stop asking for permission to be who you are. You stop measuring your value by the fickle weather of other people's moods. Their storms no longer uproot your roots. Their praise, while pleasant, does not inflate you. Their criticism, while sharp, does not diminish you. The throne you return to is not the kind you see in storybooks. It is invisible. And because it is invisible, no one can drag you from it. No one can topple it. No one can even see it, unless they too have returned to their own. There is a subtle danger in forgetting your throne. When you do not claim it, the throne does not remain empty. Something else, or someone else, will occupy it. It might be the voice of fear, dictating the terms of your life. It might be the hunger for approval, ruling you with a cruel and shifting law. It might be the shadow of someone else's opinion, sitting smugly where your own wisdom should be. And yet, the moment you remember, the moment you sit down again, all of these pretenders dissolve like mist in the morning. Not because you fought them, but because they were never real. This is why a queen's power is quiet. She does not need to shout to be heard in her own kingdom. She does not need to prove anything to be obeyed by her own soul. She simply knows, and knowing is enough. You may wonder how to return, how to step back into a seat you left so long ago. The answer is both impossibly simple and unbearably difficult. You stop looking outside yourself for the crown. You stop waiting for the right moment, the right praise, the right evidence that you are enough. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether you have the right to feel whole. You simply sit down. This sitting down is not physical, though you may feel it in your body as a kind of deep settling. It is a turning inward, a drawing back into the truth that you are the one who decides the laws of your own heart. The moment you stop asking, "Am I allowed to?" and start saying, "This is what I choose," you have already returned. And when you do, the kingdom responds. The citizens of your thoughts fall into harmony. The ministers of your emotions work together instead of plotting against you. Even the wild creatures of your impulses come to rest at your feet, no longer needing to fight for your attention. You begin to walk differently. Not with arrogance, but with the unshakable ease of one who does not need to prove herself. You begin to speak differently, not louder, but with words that seem to carry the gravity of mountains. You no longer chase after every compliment, nor do you crumble under every insult. You have stopped being a leaf in the wind. You are the tree. This is the secret they do not tell you. The world is not withholding your throne from you. It cannot. The only way to lose it is to forget it exists. And the only way to reclaim it is to remember. A queen remembers not because someone else tells her she is one. She remembers because, in the stillness, she feels it. She knows it without proof, without ceremony, without witnesses. She knows it the way the earth knows how to turn toward the sun, the way the ocean knows how to return to the shore. You were never crowned by the world, so the world cannot uncrown you. And so you sit, not in defiance, not in pride, but in quiet certainty. Your kingdom is your mind. Your throne is your stillness. Your crown is your knowing, and none of these can be taken away. If you want, I can now take this long keynote and translate it into a cinematic scene by scene visual journey, so each passage has a matching poetic image. Perfect for your video style. That would make it breathtaking on screen. Every queen rules over a vast empire, though most never realize the size of their dominion. Your empire is not measured in land or borders, not in armies or riches, but in the boundless territory of your own mind. It is here that the real seat of your power lies, in the shifting landscapes of thought, in the rivers of feeling, in the sky, wide space of awareness. This kingdom is yours alone, and yet, for most of your life, you have been taught to ignore it, as though the keys to its gates belong to someone else. Within this realm, your thoughts are the citizens. They rise each morning like a bustling city, some cheerful, some restless, some carrying burdens too heavy for their size. They are not all wise, nor are they all obedient. Some thoughts are loyal, bowing before the vision you hold for yourself. Others are rebellious, whispering doubts and criticisms in the dark corners of your mind. But they are all yours, whether noble or corrupt, loyal or treacherous. And as their queen, you are responsible for how they are allowed to roam. Your emotions are the ministers of state. Joy is the one who opens the windows and lets the light in. Sadness walks the corridors with slow footsteps, teaching you to pause. Anger is the fierce one, protective, but quick to ignite fires if left unattended. Fear is the cautious advisor who often mistakes shadows for monsters. And love is the one who reminds them all why they serve. Each emotion has a place in your court, each with its own role, its own gift. But without your guidance, they fight among themselves, and the harmony of your kingdom collapses into chaos. If you do not sit upon your throne, if you abandon this inner court, the rule does not simply vanish. The kingdom will not govern itself. Something will take your place. Perhaps the voice of doubt will declare itself queen, issuing decrees that you are not enough, not ready, not worthy. Perhaps the need for approval will seize the crown, turning every decision into a desperate attempt to please others. Perhaps the past, like an old usurper, will drag itself onto the throne and force the present to kneel. And so, the unclaimed kingdom becomes a place of unrest. Thoughts wander like unruly mobs. Emotions overthrow each other in bitter coups. And your inner world becomes a land of constant storms. You may appear calm to the outer world, yet inside, the palace burns. But when you return, when you sit in the center of this realm, with both feet firmly on the ground of your being, everything changes. You do not come as a tyrant, forcing every thought into silence, every emotion into submission. A wise queen does not fear her subjects. She listens to them. She understands them. She knows when to allow a thought to speak, and when to dismiss it gently, like a visitor who has stayed too long. She knows when an emotion needs to be heard and honored, and when it needs to be soothed into stillness. To rule the mind is not to conquer it with violence. It is to guide it with presence. A queen knows she cannot banish fear entirely, for fear has its uses. It warns her when danger is real. But she will not let fear hold the pen when she is writing the laws of her life. She will not let anxiety design the map of her future. She does not forbid sadness from entering the court, for sadness can deepen the soul, make it more compassionate, more open. But she will not allow sadness to block the windows and keep the sunlight out forever. She understands that anger can be a great protector, a fierce sword when the innocent need defending. But she will not give anger the throne, for anger left unruled will burn the kingdom it swore to protect. This is the delicate art of rulership, to know that every subject, every thought, every feeling has its place, but not its crown. Only awareness wears the crown. Only presence sits upon the throne. And this rulership is not rigid. It moves like the turning of the seasons. Some days, joy will lead the kingdom into celebration. Other days, grief will gather everyone in mourning. Both are allowed. Both are part of the life of the realm. A queen does not demand that it be summer forever. She allows the winter to have its time, knowing it will pass. If you have ever felt at the mercy of your own mind, as though you were a servant to your own thoughts, dragged this way and that by their moods, it is only because you have forgotten who sits on the throne. You are not the thought. You are not the emotion. You are the space in which they appear. You are the ruler who decides how they are met. And here is the quiet miracle. When you take your rightful seat, the subjects of your mind begin to settle. The citizens no longer riot. The ministers no longer fight for dominance. Thoughts begin to serve your vision rather than scatter it. Emotions begin to work in harmony rather than pull you apart. The realm becomes peaceful not because you have crushed all opposition, but because you have given everything its proper place. From the outside, nothing may look different. You may still live in the same house, speak with the same people, face the same challenges. But inside, the air has cleared, the court is in order, the queen is home, and because the queen is home, the entire kingdom breathes easier. There is a kind of dignity that comes from ruling yourself in this way. It is not the stiff dignity of pride, but the natural dignity of someone who is at peace with herself. People will feel it without you needing to declare it. Your presence will speak before your words do. And this is not because you have gained some new power, but because you have remembered the one you always had. This is why the outer world cannot truly dethrone you. Armies may take your land, strangers may take your titles, life may take your possessions, but none of these can seize the territory of your own mind unless you hand them the keys. And you hand them over only when you forget that you are the ruler. When you remember, no matter what is happening outside, the kingdom within remains intact. Storms may rage beyond the palace walls, but within, the hearth burns steadily. And it is from this inner warmth that you meet the world, not as a beggar asking for mercy, but as a queen offering presents. For what is a queen, if not one who knows she is whole, regardless of what she holds in her hands? What is a queen, if not one who governs her own heart before she tries to govern anything else? And what is the worth of any crown, if it does not sit upon the head of one who knows how to wear it? Your kingdom is here now. Its citizens are waiting. Its ministers are restless. The throne has been empty for too long. Step into it again, and you will see the entire realm has been longing for your return. A crown is heavy not because of its gold, nor because of its jewels, but because it is a reminder. A reminder that power is not a decoration, it is a responsibility. It is not the ornament that burdens you, but the truth that once you wear it, you cannot pretend you are not sovereign over yourself. A crown is not a gift for beauty. It is a call to a higher way of being. The world often dreams of crowns without thinking of their weight. People long for the glory, the recognition, the admiration, but not for the discipline, the stillness, the unshakable presence required to bear such a symbol. A crown without awareness is only a costume. A crown without inner steadiness is an anchor that will drag you down. When you place a crown on your own head, and here I do not mean a golden band crafted by hands, but the invisible crown of your own awareness, you take on a silent vow. You vow to meet yourself in honesty, to rule without deception, to face the storms of your own mind without letting them sweep you into the sea. For if you cannot face the storms within, you will always be tossed by the storms without. There is a subtle truth about this weight. It does not diminish over time. It does not grow lighter simply because you have worn it long. What changes is you. You grow stronger beneath it. You learn to walk with it, as though it were part of your body. At first, it feels strange, like something precariously balanced, ready to fall if you move too quickly or turn too sharply. You are cautious, perhaps even stiff. But with time, you stop holding your head high, because you are trying to keep the crown steady. And you begin to hold your head high, because you remember you are a queen. It is here that the crown reveals its deeper secret. The real weight is not on your head, it is in your heart. It is the awareness that your actions ripple outward, in ways you cannot always see. Every word you speak becomes a seed. Every choice you make writes a law in your own inner kingdom. Every moment you look away from your own truth, the kingdom loses a little of its order. A crown means you are never entirely free to abandon yourself. You cannot collapse into carelessness, for the kingdom watches you. And by kingdom, I mean the hundreds of small moments that make up your inner life. The moments when a cruel thought could be indulged or set down, when a fear could be allowed to rule or kindly dismissed, when an impulse could be obeyed without wisdom or transformed into something higher. The crown demands that you respond to these moments not as a servant, but as a ruler, and this is not easy. There will be days when the burden feels too great, when you long to set the crown aside and be small again, to be invisible, to be unaccountable even to yourself. There will be days when you envy those who seem to live without the weight of awareness, who drift wherever the current takes them, answering to no throne within. But you will know, deep down, that their freedom is an illusion, for they are ruled by something else, something unseen and unchosen. The weight of the crown is the price of true freedom. It is the cost of belonging to yourself so completely that no other voice can claim your throne. And yet, here is the paradox. Once you accept this weight, it becomes a source of lightness. When you no longer resist it, when you stop wishing for the ease of the unclaimed, it ceases to feel like a burden. It becomes simply part of you, like the spine that holds you upright. There is a kind of serenity that only comes to those who have borne their crown through the storms. You learn that the crown does not protect you from hardship. It does not shield you from loss. Instead, it changes the way you meet these things. You do not collapse under them. You do not let them strip you of your dignity. Even in grief, you remain seated within yourself. Even in chaos, your movements are deliberate. Even in fear, your voice holds a quiet steadiness. This is the mark of one who has grown into her crown. She no longer clings to it for identity. She no longer needs others to see it, or to bow before it, or to speak of it. In fact, she could set it down entirely and still walk as though it were there, because the crown is no longer on her head. It is in her being. And when you reach this point, something else happens. You realize the crown itself was never the point. It was only a symbol, a reminder, a tool to draw forth what was already in you. The true mark of a queen is not the gold, nor the title, nor the visible sign of authority. It is the inner, knowing that she could be stripped of everything and still remain herself. When you no longer need the crown, you have truly earned it. There will be moments when life tests this truth. When all you have built seems to crumble, when your voice feels small, when you are treated as though you are powerless. In those moments, remember, power is not what they give you, it is what they cannot take away. The crown may fall from your head in the eyes of others, but if it is rooted in your awareness, it cannot be removed. And so, the crown's weight becomes a strange kind of comfort. It reminds you that you are responsible, not for everything that happens in your kingdom, but for how you meet everything that happens. It reminds you that you cannot always control the weather, but you can keep the fire in the hearth burning. It reminds you that dignity is not something handed down to you, but something you stand up in every single day. The crown is heavy because it asks you to meet yourself fully, not just the parts you admire, but the shadows you would rather turn away from. It asks you to be honest about the state of your kingdom, even when the truth is uncomfortable. It asks you to tend to the places that are in disrepair, to sit with the subjects of your mind when they are restless, to walk through the dark halls of your own fears without running from them. It is not an easy task, but it is the only one worth taking up, because without it, you are at the mercy of forces that do not love you, that do not serve you, that care nothing for your true nature. In the end, the weight of the crown is the weight of awareness, the awareness that you are the one who shapes the life within you. And while others may influence it, while storms may challenge it, while time itself may test it, nothing can take away the fact that this is your realm. The crown sits upon your head, you remember, it was always there. And from that moment, your life changes, not because the crown grants you power, but because you no longer doubt that the power was yours all along. Power is not something you own, like a jewel in a chest or a sword in a sheath. It is not an object you can clutch, guard, or lock away. It is not a possession, but a current. Like water, it refuses to be held for long. Try to close your fist around it, and it slips through your fingers. Try to trap it in a jar, and it grows stagnant. True power is not kept, it is moved with, danced with, allowed to pass through you and out again, as naturally as breath. A queen understands this. She does not strangle her authority with the need to prove it. She does not seek to dominate for the sake of security, nor does she hoard influence, like a miser counting coins in the dark. She knows that the moment she begins to clutch her power in fear, she has already lost it. Power cannot be kept alive in a cage. It must flow, or it dies. Consider the river. Its strength lies not in its ability to freeze in place, but in its constant movement. It carves valleys, shapes landscapes, and nourishes all it touches. Not because it resists the pull of gravity, but because it surrenders to it. The river moves with its own nature, and in doing so, it wields a quiet, undeniable force. A queen moves the same way. Her power is not loud, though her presence is unmistakable. She can command without shouting, persuade without coercion, and shift the atmosphere of a room simply by entering it. This is because her authority comes not from what she demands, but from what she is. When she walks with the ease of one who has nothing to hide. When she speaks from a place that does not tremble. She is rooted like an old tree, yet she sways with the wind. She can yield without breaking, can bend without losing her shape. Her strength is not the brittle strength of stone, but the living strength of the willow, flexible, enduring, and alive. There is a dangerous illusion about power, that it is found in resistance alone, in the unyielding posture, in the constant battle to be seen as unshakable. But rigidity is a form of fear. It is the fear that if you give an inch, you will lose yourself entirely. True power is not afraid to yield, because it knows it cannot be taken. Think of the tide. It pulls back, and yet it always returns. It gives way to the shore, only to sweep forward again. It is not in constant assault. It moves in rhythm with something greater. This is how the queen moves with power, not in a desperate clutch, but in a trustful rhythm. When you dance with power, you stop thinking of it as something you must acquire or defend. You begin to realize it is something you participate in. It comes through you when you are aligned with your truth, and it leaves you when you betray yourself. It is not about holding dominance over others, but holding alignment within yourself. A queen who dances with power knows that force alone cannot win hearts, and control alone cannot inspire loyalty. Power without grace breeds rebellion. But power with grace, that is the kind that makes people follow willingly. That is the kind that builds a kingdom not through fear, but through trust. To live this way requires trust, not in the world, for the world will change and test you, but in yourself. Trust that no matter the circumstance, you can return to your center. Trust that you can bend without shattering. Trust that you can be both soft and strong at the same time. When you trust yourself this deeply, you stop scrambling to prove your place. You stop defending your crown as though it were fragile glass. You no longer waste your energy in the theater of dominance. Instead, you embody your presence so fully that there is no question of your authority. People feel it in your silence, in the way you look them in the eye, in the way you refuse to be rushed. This is not about perfection. There will be moments when you lose the rhythm, when fear takes the lead in the dance, when you stumble. But a queen does not measure herself by whether she stumbles, only by whether she rises again. And when she does not rush to cover the fall. She lets it be seen, for she knows her humanity does not diminish her majesty. In fact, it deepens it. There is a beauty in this kind of rulership, because it is not obsessed with the performance of power. It is not concerned with the endless proving and defending. It is concerned only with truth. The queen does not need to outshine anyone. She shines by standing in her own light. She does not need to take from others to feel abundant. She knows her abundance flows from within. She does not see power as a throne she must fight to keep, but as a flame she must keep alive by tending to it daily. And when she moves with that flame inside her, not as a weapon, but as a lantern. It lights her path and those who walk near her. Not because she forces it upon them, but because light does not need to convince anyone to see it. Many misunderstand this softness as weakness, but they do not see the discipline it takes to remain open in a world that teaches you to harden. They do not see the strength it takes to keep your heart unarmored while standing in the storm. They do not see the mastery it takes to listen when you could command, to yield when you could fight, to forgive when you could condemn. The queen's dance with power is not choreographed for the audience. It is a private rhythm, a conversation between her and the life moving through her. And because it is authentic, it becomes magnetic. People are drawn to it without knowing why, as if they are being reminded of a song they once knew but had forgotten. You can live like this. You can let go of the exhausting need to grip every ounce of control. You can stop fearing that your power will vanish if you do not defend it at every turn. You can let it move through you, and when it leaves, you can trust it will return. For true power is not something you conquer. It is something you consent to. It is not an object you can lose, but a relationship you tend to. It is not a fortress you must defend, but a river you must keep clear. And once you learn to dance with it, you will see that it was never outside you at all. It was always moving through you, waiting for you to step into its rhythm. A queen does not grip the crown. She wears it lightly, as one wears the sky above her, knowing it is vast, knowing it is infinite, knowing it is not hers to possess, yet knowing it will always be there, as long as she stands in her own truth. And this is the paradox of power. The less you clutch it, the more it becomes yours. There will be days when they will take the crown from your head. Not physically, perhaps, but in every way that matters to the world. Days when your title is stripped away, when your role is taken, when your voice is ignored, when your name once spoken with reverence, is reduced to a whisper or forgotten entirely. Days when the treasures you held in your hands slip through your fingers, leaving you with nothing visible to show for all you have been. On those days, the temptation will be to believe that you have been dethroned, that without the recognition, without the outward symbols, without the applause, you are no longer what you once were. You will feel the ache of absence, the quiet panic that creeps in when the mirrors of the world no longer reflect back the image you have come to depend on. And yet, the truest queens know this is an illusion. They know that the crown the world sees, the glittering band, the woven gold, the jeweled proof, is only ever a shadow of the real crown. The real crown is not made by human hands. It is not displayed on a velvet cushion. It is not granted in ceremony, and it cannot be removed by decree. The real crown is carved into the unseen architecture of your being. It rests deep within you, woven into the marrow of your soul. It was there before your first victory, before your first recognition, before the first person ever called you Queen. It will remain long after the last applause fades, long after the last banner falls. When you understand this, loss no longer breaks you. Titles may vanish, possessions may be taken, faces you love may walk away, but these things are only the outer garments. You may grieve them, but you do not mistake them for your essence. You know they are not the source of your majesty, only the passing costumes it has worn. This knowing gives you a strange and quiet power. You can stand empty, handed before the world, and still feel whole. You can walk through a crowd unnoticed and still carry the same invisible weight. You can move through loss without losing yourself, because what you are cannot be touched by the tides of fortune. It is in these moments, when everything external is gone, that the true crown begins to glow more brightly within you. For it is no longer hidden under layers of ornament and expectation. There is nothing left to distract from its presence. You can feel it there, as steady as your heartbeat, as constant as your breath. The world may think it has stripped you bare, but in truth, it has only revealed the naked majesty that was always there. Without the trappings, you are unmasked, and without the mask, your presence becomes even more profound. A queen who has lost everything and still stands is a queen who cannot be destroyed. Her power is no longer tied to conditions. Her worth is no longer on loan from the approval of others. She has returned to the throne that can never be seen, but is always felt. You may notice, in this place, a freedom you did not have before. When your crown is invisible, you no longer need to defend it from thieves. When your throne is within, you no longer fear being cast out. You can move through the world without the weight of proving yourself, without the fear of losing what was never truly at risk. This freedom changes the way you live. You begin to act not from fear of losing your place, but from the calm certainty that you cannot lose it. You begin to give without calculation, to speak without flattery, to love without bargaining. You no longer play the game of keeping your crown polished for others to admire. You wear it for yourself alone. And here is the most beautiful thing. When you wear your invisible crown in this way, people feel it. They may not be able to name it, but they sense it in your presence. They stand a little straighter in your company. They speak with a little more truth. They feel, without understanding why, that they are in the presence of someone who cannot be swayed by the shallow winds of appearance. It is not that you no longer appreciate beauty, or titles, or the recognition of the world. You do, but you no longer confuse them with your identity. They are adornments, not definitions. They are expressions of your majesty, not the source of it. There will be seasons when the outer crown returns, when the world once again calls you by name, lifts you up, drapes you in honor, and you will accept it, not as something you must cling to, but as something you can enjoy and release when its time is done. You will wear it lightly, because you know it is not the crown that makes you a queen. It is the queen that makes the crown worth wearing. And there will be other seasons when the world turns away again, when the stage is empty, when your name is not called. But now, these seasons will not feel like death. They will feel like the quiet halls of your own palace, the peaceful chambers where you sit in stillness, wearing a crown no one can see, yet one that shines in every movement you make. In this way, you become untouchable, not because nothing can harm you, but because nothing can define you. The world may write and erase your story 100 times, but you are the author, not the ink. You are the ruler, not the robe. You are the crown, not the metal that forms it. When you know this, you walk differently. Not higher, as if above others, but deeper, as if rooted into the earth itself. You bow to no false authority, and yet you bow willingly to truth, wherever you find it. You do not need to take power from anyone, for you have learned that power is not a resource that runs out. It is a light that grows when shared. So when the day comes, and it will, when you find yourself with nothing in your hands, remember this: the throne was never under you, the crown was never on you, the scepter was never in you. These were only reflections, pointing to the truth that the real throne, the real crown, the real scepter have always been one thing: your own awareness of who you are. And that cannot be taken. You are not a queen because the world says so. You are not a queen because you wear the crown. You are a queen because even in the emptiness, even in the silence, even in the absence of every symbol of power, you remember. You remember the throne within. You remember the crown within. You remember the scepter within. You remember that no one can give these to you, and no one can take them away. And in this remembering, you rise, not to stand above anyone, but to stand fully in yourself. Not to claim what was never yours, but to embrace what has always been. The crown is nothing without the head that does not need it. And you, my dear, have always worn it, even when the mirror was turned away. The crown is nothing without the head that does not need it. And you, my dear, have always worn it, even when the mirror was turned away.